Every year, so many pregnant women are getting the same pitch at their obstetrician's office, that they should put some of their baby's cord blood on ice and save it for the day they might need it. The materials often have like a pregnant woman, and you have a lot of claims about how important these are going to be for your baby. You know, this one, which is from the largest cord blood bank, describes a life-changing opportunity. It talks about 80 conditions you might be able to treat. Everything from cancer to immune disorders to metabolic diseases. But our investigation found a lot of these claims are misleading. The idea is if you keep this cord blood on ice and you hang on to it, maybe one day you'll use it for your kid if they were to get seriously ill. Cord blood is the blood that flows between the baby and the placenta while they're in the womb. And inside that cord blood, there are stem cells, these really nifty cells that have the ability to morph into immune cells or blood cells, which could be really powerful if someone develops a serious blood disorder like leukemia or sickle cell anemia. Usually there's an upfront fee to process and store the cord blood. That's usually maybe $1,000, sometimes close to $3,000. And then there's annual storage fees, which can be range from like $100 to $400 that you pay each year. In the 1990s, mid-2000s, there was a big rise in the use of cord blood. This is the era when you see these banks opening. There was a lot of excitement, a lot of promise in cord blood, but things kind of changed around 2008, 2010, when researchers found another way to collect stem cells, where they realized you actually didn't have to be quite as well matched to your donor, and you've really seen the use of cord blood in transplant medicine just plummet since about 2008. It's really rare for these cells to be used, but it's still a pretty big industry of storing them, you know, sometimes indefinitely. There's a decent number of samples in storage. We think it's about 2 million. A lot of that probably comes down to the marketing to patients and to doctors, which really focuses on this being a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Even when parents do try and use these samples, we found that they're often unable to, either because there's not enough stem cells in the sample or it's contaminated. One researcher we talked to who does a lot of clinical trials with cord blood, she estimated that more than half of the patients who try and withdraw their samples are ultimately just not able to use them. The majority of banks we looked at, they do test for bacteria within days of receiving the sample, but in our investigation, we found that they weren't telling parents the results. So some, you know, even stored for over a decade without realizing that there had been bacteria all along. We did reach out to the 3 leading cord blood banks in the United States. One of them pointed us to a website with some client testimonials of success stories, but didn't provide any comment beyond that. Another one, Viacord, said that it is their policy to notify customers when there is a problem and that they really believe in the potential and future of cord blood. I think that there can be a lot of fear and excitement when you're having a baby for the first time. You almost become a more vulnerable person to be marketed to. And I think what you see, and what some of the former sales representatives, you know, even told me they became uncomfortable with, is a bit of preying on those fears and anxieties.